Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Ancient Warfare Answers with me, Murray, your weekly fix of ancient warfare related material where I attempt to answer a question from a viewer, listener, or reader. You can send me a postcard, you can send an email, you can comment on a previous podcast or video, you can do an old-fashioned letter to the editor, you can shout in the street if you're in Australia, in Sydney, Australia. The cities in Australia are quite a way apart. I wouldn't hear you if you yelled in Melbourne, for instance. You can, of course, back us on Patreon, one of three different levels, Legionary, Optio, and Centurion. Now, this question is from the Zgrooby, another one from the Zgrooby. I have one question. How long were bronze helmets used? Despite having better materials available, they seem quite long-lasting part of equipment. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, they do. So, why is the question? Now, doing some hunting about the bronze helmet seems to span our entire period. That what you have, of course, in the very first helmets of the ancient world is we've got bronze conical helmets from Babylon and Ur and Urartu, and the Sumerians have them. So bronze helmets seem to come in very soon, and their qualities for being able to defend and protect your head are recognized. One of the remarkable things about the thickness of a lot of the bronze that's used is how thin it is. This is not thick bronze, but it offers protection nonetheless. Obviously, there are famous examples of damaged bronze helmets and damaged other bronze work, which seems to be repaired, which is fascinating in itself because, of course, if they're repairing it, A, it's repairable, B, it's worth repairing, obviously, because it's expensive commodity. So in that sense, the structural integrity, for lack of a better term, even with battle damage, is worthwhile fixing. That lightning won't strike twice, that if you fix a hole in a helmet where you took a wound or where the helmet was breached, it's not going to breach there again, surely not. Anyway, now, interestingly, what we then get, of course, and I get to bring up my favorite bugbear of ancient history at the moment, which is the use of the term brass. My brother's a metallurgist, and so if it's got copper and tin, it's bronze. If it's got copper and zinc, it's brass. If there's a little bit of tin in with the zinc, it's still bronze. But mostly in the ancient world, you aren't getting zinc mixed with copper, so you're not getting brass as such. And I don't understand this modern obsession with calling things brass when it's not brass, it's bronze. Anyway, bugbear over. Rant over. Now, later, of course, you get iron helmets, and in the archaeological record, of course, iron helmets tend to erode and rust away much more than bronze helmets. One of the amazing things about bronze and why we have so much bronze surviving is that when bronze oxidizes, either in the earth or underwater, the oxidized layer protects it. And so that's why you have these amazing statues and pieces of equipment surviving in environments where you wouldn't expect them to, unlike organic matter and unlike iron. Because, of course, as we all know, iron oxide is rust. And so iron rusts away. And so sometimes in archaeology you have rust marks which just tell you that there was iron present, but no actual iron. And so mostly iron survives in anaerobic environments where there is no oxygen that can get to it, or in dry environments where no moisture can get to it. Anyway, with bronze, of course, we have much more surviving. But, of course, we have lots and lots of helmets that are iron. Peculiarly, even in the later Roman Empire, those helmets, we don't necessarily have the iron surviving. We have the gilding. So we either have the tin or the silver gilt that has gone onto the iron helmet as a decoration. Now, we do have some iron helmets surviving in those environments that allow them to survive. But even with iron, and even as iron working technology develops in the ancient world, you still have bronze. And so bronze has a ubiquity to it throughout the ancient world. So when you get to the Spangen helms in the late 4th or 5th centuries, they've still got bronze plates. They can be made of iron or steel even when carbon's added, but you've also got bronze. And so there's no great advancement in bronze technology. And the peculiar thing, of course, about some of the bronze working is that if you start with 2 parts of bronze and then you put them together and then you put a plate over the top and rivet that plate together, still makes a good helmet, as opposed to getting a single sheet of bronze and molding it around a bowl to make a single piece, which you get in many Greek and Roman helmets. You get that way of making a helmet. Obviously, making it out of a single piece is more efficient, but you need to have expertise to be able to do it. Whereas when you're making it out of pieces, 2, 4, 6, 8, however many, it becomes a more simplified construction method. And peculiarly, we get that. The Spangen helms, for instance, up to 8 pieces of bronze held together and then sort of a cover put over the joins. So that technology remains throughout the ancient world and into the medieval world for helmets. You are beginning to get more iron helmets by the end, but not exclusively iron. It's an interesting thing in the sense that iron doesn't fully supersede bronze helmets, and bronze helmets stay alongside iron. And of course, you can decorate both with gilt. But the fascinating thing about the bronze ones is that they don't seem to have been regarded as lesser, even though it's, older technology. There seems to be whatever the modern in the ancient sense, whatever the contemporary fashion is for helmets. And of course, there are lots of books on the development of helmets from style, going through all of the Wiesenau and Nagau and all these other types that, used to have H. Russell Robinson's italic G, italic H, italic I. And then you have the Spangen helm, and then you have the lamellar helmets and things like that. As far as I can tell, I haven't been able to find a reference to a lamellar helmet made with bronze lamellar scales. But then in scale mail armor terms, bronze plates stay throughout the ancient world as well. And, your question's about helmets, but when we look at armor, bronze armor is there throughout this period. Unlike helmets, though, it changes in the sense that, you don't have bronze cuirasses, as far as I'm aware, into the late Roman Empire, but you are having bronze scale armor into the late Roman Empire, alongside chainmail made of iron and, scale mail made of iron as well. So it's really interesting in that sense that you've got the existence of bronze alongside iron. And so, it's that sort of idea. So the lamellar helmets is used by the Lombards, especially in the late 6th to 8th century. So in that sense, we might be able to say that the bronze helmet exists throughout the ancient period, taking our general date of the end of the ancient world as 550 AD. So in that case, I'm going to suggest that my answer to your question is, how long were bronze helmets used? Throughout the ancient world. Join me again for another episode of Ancient Warfare Answers. Thanks. Bye.